Hello children, I am your tele teacher for today. My name is Dr. Mrs. Pallavi Patnaik and today I will be discussing a very important topic in your syllabus, which is prepositions. The topic for your understanding is divisible into part 1 and part 2. Although the term preposition may appear a bit confusing to you children, I will explain this entire chapter step by step with proper examples so that you will not have any difficulty in understanding the topic. Moreover, please keep your notebooks and pens handy so that whenever you find a point interesting and important, you will be able to note it down. So, let us first understand what is a preposition. A preposition is a word which is used to link nouns, pronouns and phrases with what? With other words within a sentence. They act to connect people, objects, time and locations of a sentence. Prepositions are usually short words and where are they placed? They are normally placed directly in front of a noun. Now, this was the definition of a preposition. Now, we move on to defining preposition in a simpler way. How do we define it? A nice way to think about preposition is as the word that helps to stick together a sentence or glue a sentence. And how does they do it? They do it by expressing position, movement, possession, time and actions. Okay? So, this is how a preposition is used as a gluing word. Now, several most frequently used words in English language, they fall under the category of prepositions. Now, what are they? For, with, on, at. Okay. Now, explaining prepositions can seem complicated as I told you in the first place, but they are a common part of the language and most of us use them naturally within even thinking about it. We do not even think about it, but it comes out naturally and logically. It is interesting to note that prepositions are regarded as a closed class of words. Now, what do you mean by closed class of words? This means unlike other verbs and nouns, no new words were added to this group over a period of time. Okay? And in a way, it reflects their role as a functional workhorse of the sentence. So, this depicts the functionality of a preposition. They are unassuming and subtle, but vitally important and add meaning to the language. Now, there are two very important rules to remember when you use a preposition. What are they? Because they are somewhat vague, learning about prepositions and using them correctly within a sentence requires a lot of practice. Secondly, translation is often impossible when dealing with prepositions. And even the most advanced English students have some difficulty initially. Now, next, the first rule is to make sentences very clear and specific, for which the preposition is required. Okay. For example, the preposition in, look at this, the preposition in means one thing and the preposition on cannot substitute for it in all cases. Remember this, some prepositions are interchangeable, but never always. Now, moving on to the next slide, let us understand prepositions in a better way. Now, how should we use a preposition? The correct preposition means one particular thing and using a different position will give the sentence a very different meaning. I have given two particular examples. Children, listen to them carefully. I want to see you in the house now, Bill, means something very different from what I want to see you on the house, Bill. In the house means Bill has to get inside the house through a door, and on the house means Bill has to bring a ladder to reach to the topmost floor of the house. Secondly, the second rule for using prepositions is that prepositions are generally followed by nouns or pronouns. But there was a time in the past when teachers were strictly against this rule and henceforth, it led to the formation of lengthy and chunky sentences. So, I am seeking someone I can depend on. This is one particular example of how a preposition is used. Pay attention, children. So, what is the example? I am seeking someone I can depend on. Ends with the preposition on. Okay? So, people who insisted that sentences should not end with a preposition will be forced to use convoluted and unnatural phrasing in this particular case. So, to avoid ending that sentence above with a preposition, you will have to say, someone I can depend on is whom I am seeking. These are the two different examples in how you can phrase a preposition. Now, there are more than 100 prepositions in English language, okay. In addition, there are endless possibilities for creating prepositional phrases. Remember this, that begin with a preposition and end with a noun or a pronoun. In the following sections, you will find examples of prepositions, types of prepositions, a comprehensive list of prepositions and some helpful preposition exercises. Okay. As you read these examples and study the list, remember always, children, that prepositions usually convey concepts such as comparison, direction, place, purpose, source, possession and time. Now, these are examples of preposition. Children, pay particular attention to the examples. In the following sentences, examples of preposition have been written in italics. As you read, consider how using different prepositions or even different types of prepositions in the place of examples might change the relationship between the rest of the words within the sentence. Now, look very carefully at the examples. I prefer to read in the library. The preposition in this case is in. He climbed up the ladder to get onto the roof. Two particular prepositions are used for gluing up the sentence. What is it? One is up and the other is onto. Please sign your name on the dotted line after you read the contract. Look at the nature of the word. On the dotted line after you read the contract. So, the two prepositions used are on and after. Moving on, go down the stairs and through the door. What are the prepositions used? Down and through. Next example, he swam across the pool. What is the preposition used in this particular case? Across. Take your brother with you. What is the preposition used? This is with. Now, what are the different kinds of preposition? Children, I need you to pay particular emphasis on this slide. Okay, while I am explaining this slide, you need to pay particular attention and emphasis. There are three different kinds of prepositions, including time prepositions, place prepositions and direction prepositions. Okay. So, what do you mean by prepositions of time? Basic examples of time prepositions. What are those interconnecting words? At, on, in, before and after. They are used to help indicate when something has happened or will happen. Okay? It can get a little confusing though, as many different prepositions can be used in the same way. Now, prepositions of time examples in the following sentences are in bold, okay, for easy identification. Since you people have been taught prepositions in class, I am sure, but these are certain examples which will help you to understand the topic better. I have written them in bold letters. Now, look at the preposition. I was born on July 4th, 1982. What is the preposition? On. I was born in 1982. What is the preposition here? In. Now, I was born exactly at 2 a.m. What is the preposition used here? At. I was born 2 minutes before my twin brother. The preposition used is before. Thirdly, I was born after the Great War ended. What is the preposition used? After. The above makes it quite difficult, okay, with 5 different prepositions used to indicate what and how events have happened. However, there is a set of guidelines that you children can follow to decide how to use a particular preposition. Now, for years, months, seasons, centuries and times, use the prepositions in. Look how I have used the preposition in the following examples. I first met John in 1987. Okay, the preposition I am using here is in. It is always cold in January. Now, Easter falls in. Remember children, I have highlighted the preposition in bold letters, so it will be easier for you to understand. Easter falls in spring each year. The Second World War occurred in the 20th century. We eat breakfast in the morning. Okay? For days, dates and specific holidays, we will use the preposition on. We used in the initial examples and now we will use the preposition on. How will we use the preposition on? We go to school on Mondays but not on Sunday. Christmas is on December 25th. Buy me a present on my birthday. So, these are the kinds of prepositions in and on. How we use them in different places is highlighted by using these simple examples. I hope children now you are clear how you will use the preposition in and how you will use the preposition on. Now, for times, indicators of exceptions and festivals use the preposition at. We realized we indicated how we will use in, how we will use on. Now, we will see how we will use the preposition at. How will we use it? Families often argue at Christmas time. I work faster at night. Her shift finished at 7 p.m. So, these are the types where you will use at in the sentence. Okay? Now, before and after should be much easier to understand than the other examples of prepositions of time. Okay? Both are used to explain when something has happened, happens or will happen, but specifically in relationship to another aspect. Before I discovered this bar, I used to go straight home after work. So, what is the preposition used? The preposition used in this particular line is before. Okay. Now, move on to the next example. We will not leave before 3 p.m. What is the preposition used here? Before. David comes before Brian in the line, but after Lucy. Look how before is used in three particular ways. It is used before the sentence, it is used in between the sentence and it is used towards the end of the sentence. Okay? So, three types of sentences are there and we can use this in three different ways. Now children, I am sure you have understood this group of example. Now moving on to the next slide. Other prepositions of time could include during, about, around, until and throughout. Now let us study these with the help of examples. The concert will be staged throughout the month of May. Look how throughout has been used. I learned how to ski during the holidays. He usually arrives around 3 p.m. It was about 6 in the morning when we made it to the bed. The store is open until midnight. So, prepositions like during, about, around, until and throughout have been explained how they can be used differently in different sentences. Now, we come to the next type, which is preposition of place. What do you mean by preposition of place? To confuse matters a bit, the most common prepositions to indicate time, on, at, in, they are also the common prepositions which indicate position. However, the rules are a little clearer, as in this particular place there is a more rigid concept, okay, as in contrast to time prepositions. Prepositions of place examples in the following sentences are in bold. Okay, for easy understanding, I have written the examples in bold. The cat is on the table. Look at the examples, children. The cat is on the table. The dogs are in the kennel. We can meet at the crossroads. So, what are the three kinds of prepositions that I have used? On, in, at, and all of these three belong to the preposition of place. Now, the guidelines can be broken down for easier understanding. The guidelines can be broken down as follows. On is used when referring to something with a surface. Okay. The sculpture hangs on the wall. Look here, the sculpture will hang on the wall. The images are on the page. The specials are on the menu, which is on the table. So, I have used the word on in three different ways, like to indicate the position where the object is placed. Now, in is used when referring to something that is inside or within a particular space. This could mean anything, even to countries. Let us see. Jim is in France visiting his aunt in the hospital. The whiskey is in the jar, in the fridge. The girls play in the garden. So, how is the preposition in used? It is shown that Jim is visiting his aunt in a particular country in the hospital. A bottle is placed in the fridge. The girls are playing in the garden. So, in is used in three particular aspects. Now, at is used when referring to something at a specific point. How? Let us see. The boys are at the entrance at the movie theatre. He stood at the bus stop at the corner of Water and High Streets. We will meet at the airport. So, how is the word at used as a preposition? At the entrance, at the bus stop, at the airport. Children, you need to pay particular attention to the examples. So, make it a point to note it down. Lots of other prepositions of places such as under, over, inside, outside, above and below are also used in English language. There is, however, a lot less confusion as they refer to rigid positions rather to abstract ones. Let us see how. The cat is under the table. Put the sandwich over there. The key is locked inside the car. They stepped outside the house. Major is ranked above corporal. He is waiting for you from below the stairs. So, in these particular examples, we can see how differently the prepositions have been used to indicate different aspects within a sentence. Now, moving on to the next example, we will now come to the preposition of movement. We learnt about time, we learnt about place. Now, we come on to prepositions of movement. Prepositions of movement are simple to understand. Why? Because they are less abstract than prepositions of place and time. They describe how something or someone moves from one place to another. The most commonly used preposition of movement is to. Remember this, which is usually used to highlight that there is a movement towards a particular direction or a particular destination. Look at the examples. Preposition of movement examples in the following sentences are in bold for easy understanding as usual. He has gone on vacation to France. She went to the bowling alley every Friday last summer. I will go to bed when I am tired. They will go to the zoo if they finish their errands. So, look at the examples how on, to and go are used in three specific cases. Now, one more specific preposition of movement includes through, across, off, down and into. Remember this, children. These prepositions can sometimes also get intermixed with others. So, you need to remember this. While they are similar, there have been some individual ways in which they have been used to connect movements. Look at this. Across refers to moving from one side to another. Mike traveled across America on his motorcycle. Rebecca and Judy are swimming across the lake. Look here how the word across has been used. Through refers to moving directly inside something and out the other end. The bullet Ben shot went through the window. Okay? The train passes through the tunnel. Into refers to entering or looking inside something. How? James went into the room. They stay into the darkness. How they staring? Into the darkness. Now, up, over, down, past and around indicate the directions of movement. Let us see the examples. Jack went up the hill. The preposition is up. Jill came tumbling down after. We will travel over rough terrain on our way to grandma's house. The house runs around the track all morning. A car zoomed past a truck on the highway. Now, these are the examples how prepositions were used differently in different cases. Children, you need to understand that prepositions are coming in different words and they are used for sticking together a sentence or gluing a sentence. Prepositions of time, place and movement, they are very important, and different prepositions can be used differently to indicate how different parts of a sentence can be joined together. Now, the most confusing part is that different prepositions belonging to time, place and movement can also be used in similar patterns and they can be intermixed. So, please remember the examples that I have taught you. All of this can come as MCQs or you may be asked to fill up the blanks with certain prepositions. While filling up the blanks, always remember you need to think what preposition seems most appropriate. Okay? Think about it first. Do not rush in to write your answers. Think about it. Okay? For example, you can use a preposition in two types like I said. I was at the party, I was in the party. They convey two different meanings, but both of them are prepositions, at and in. Look how I have used them differently. So, you need to think very clearly before you use a preposition of any kind while joining a sentence. Since different prepositions can be used differently, you need to give it a lot of attention. How the word or the sentence will make sense, that should be the first thing in your mind. You should first insert the preposition you want to within the sentence and then you should think about it for a minute or two. Okay? So, you need to practice a lot of examples related to prepositions of time, prepositions of place and prepositions of movement. These are the three kinds of preposition examples that you need to practice thoroughly. I have given you a lot of examples, plus you need to go through the examples in your textbook for a clearer and better understanding of prepositions and how to use them in different places. Now, we will move on to the next part, which is the second part of prepositions. I hope you have clearly understood this. Thank you children for your attention.